The secret of hook, story, and offer, turning traffic into customers. Imagine you have identified your dream customer. Then you've also built your dream 100 list. You've figured out which YouTube channels your customers watch, which podcasts they listen to, which Facebook groups they ask questions in, and which influencers they trust. Now you think that's it. Customer traffic will start flowing in. But as soon as your content appears before them, people just scroll past. No one watches the video until the end, no one clicks on the ad, and no one reaches the offer. The fear starts here, because just getting in front of the right audience is not enough. If your message is weak, even your dream customer will ignore you. The curiosity arises here. What exactly is the formula that stops a stranger, connects them to your story, and then leads them toward becoming a customer? In the first part, we understood that business starts with the customer, not the product. If you don't know your dream customer's problems, fears, desires, and buying behavior, your marketing is like shooting arrows in the dark. In the second part, we understood that the dream customer isn't hidden somewhere on the internet. They are already present around some community, influencer, podcast, blog, YouTube channel, or social media group. Russell Brunson calls this idea the Dream 100, where you make a list of the top platforms and people in your niche who already have your audience. But now, in the third part, comes the real turning point. You found the dream customer, the Dream 100 list is ready, and the path for traffic is clear. But when the customer comes before you, what will you say to them? This is where the hook, story, offer framework comes into play. The entire focus of Russell Brunson's book Traffic Secrets is on bringing dream customers to websites and funnels, and ClickFunnels itself describes itself as a platform that helps convert online visitors into paying customers. This means the game isn't just about traffic, it's about conversion. In marketing, you first have to win attention. Today's customer decides very quickly whether to stay or move on. They scroll on Instagram, decide by looking at a thumbnail on YouTube, click after reading a headline on Google, and open an email after seeing the subject line. This means if your hook is weak, your story will end before it even begins. A hook is the first thing that stops a customer. It could be an image, a headline, a question, a fear, or a line that forces the viewer to think. But a hook doesn't just mean giving a shock. Many people think a hook just means being loud, making a big claim, or writing a scary line. Doing this might get you attention, but it doesn't build trust. A good hook is one that is connected to your dream customer's real problem. If your audience is mothers, the hook should connect to their daily life. If your audience is small business owners, the hook should touch on their fears regarding sales and cash flow. If your audience is students, the hook should connect to their future, confidence, and career anxiety. After the hook comes the story. The story is the bridge that turns attention into trust. If the hook opens the door, the story seats the customer inside and explains the matter. In a story, you don't just give information, you give emotion. You describe what the problem looks like, how the pain feels, how real the struggle is, and what the journey to the solution was like. This is why storytelling is so powerful in marketing. People might forget facts, but they remember stories. People might ignore features, but they relate to the journey of someone like themselves. The job of the story is to make the customer feel, this is about me. When a customer feels that your story matches their life, they stop being defensive. They start listening. They think that perhaps this brand understands their problem. This moment is very precious in marketing, because many people can grab attention, but very few can build an emotional connection. The third part is the offer. The offer is the promise you give to the customer. It could be a product, service, webinar, free guide, newsletter, consultation, ebook, course, or membership. But an offer isn't just a thing, an offer is an outcome. A customer doesn't buy how many pages an ebook has. They buy the relief they will get from that ebook. A customer doesn't buy how many modules are in a course. They buy what they will be able to do after the course. Therefore, an offer should always be linked to the customer's problem and desired result. The hook, story, and offer framework is so effective because it follows the customer's natural journey. First, the customer's attention is needed. Then they need trust. Then, they need a reason to take action. If you give the offer directly, the customer will ask, why should I trust you? If you only tell a story but don't give an offer, the customer will say, that was nice, but what am I supposed to do now? And if there is no hook, the customer will never even reach the story and the offer. Understand this framework with a real-style example. Suppose there is a mother named Jessica. She is exhausted from running between the house, kids, and work all day. At night, she gets a little time for herself. She is scrolling through Facebook. Suddenly, she sees an image. A fitness-focused woman is standing in workout clothes, but a dark gray mark is visible on her shorts. Jessica stops. A question arises in her mind. What is this? This is the hook. The image grabbed her attention. Then comes the headline. Let me tell you about the time I peed my pants during a workout. This line is unusual, honest, a bit uncomfortable, but that's why it feels real. Jessica clicks. She watches the video. In it, Natalie Hodgson tells her personal story of how this embarrassing moment happened to her during a workout. Jessica suddenly starts relating, because something similar had happened to her while jumping on a trampoline with the kids. This story is no longer just Natalie's. It has become Jessica's story too. This is where storytelling shows its impact. Natalie doesn't present herself like a perfect fitness expert. She shows her vulnerability. She talks about a problem that many women don't speak openly about due to shame. This makes Jessica feel that she is not alone. In the marketing world, this is a very powerful moment. When a customer feels that their problem is normal and a solution is possible, they become ready to listen further. Then Natalie moves toward the solution. She explains that doctors and exercises can help with this problem. She talks about the pelvic floor, core strength, and practical training. Then comes the offer, an online program that includes a guide, nutrition tips, exercises, and a system to follow at home. Now the offer suddenly doesn't feel like selling. Because the hook took the attention, the story built the trust, and the offer provided the solution. Jessica feels that this product was made for her. Therefore, she becomes ready to buy. This same framework can work in every niche. If you create finance content, the hook could be, one mistake in stopping your SIP could quietly weaken your future corpus. In the story, you can tell the journey of a middle-class investor who stopped their SIP when the market fell and later regretted it. In the offer, you can provide a free checklist, a full video, a course, or an advisory call. If you create business content, the hook could be, why aren't you getting sales even with a good product? In the story, you can tell the tale of a struggling entrepreneur. In the offer, you can provide a marketing framework, a webinar, or a guide. If you write YouTube scripts, this formula can increase retention. In the beginning, the hook stops the audience. Then the story connects them emotionally. Then the offer or next step leads them toward action. On YouTube, the offer isn't always a product sale. The offer could also be for the viewer to watch the full video, click the link in the description, watch the next part, subscribe to the channel, or follow your series. In other words, an offer means giving the viewer a clear next action. Now the role of the attractive character comes in. Attractive character doesn't mean the character has to look beautiful. It means a character that the audience can relate to, trust, and feel an interest in their journey. This character could be you. It could be your customer. It could be a case study. It could be a fictional avatar. Or it could be someone who represents the audience's problem. In an attractive character, honesty is more important than perfection. People might be impressed by perfect people, but they connect with imperfect and honest people. When someone says, I've made this mistake too, the audience's guard goes down. When someone says, I was scared too, the audience starts listening. When someone says, I solved this problem like this, hope is born in the audience's mind. This hope is what makes the offer powerful. The biggest mistake business owners make is forgetting the human element in their marketing. They just show the product, state the price, give a discount, and expect the customer to buy. But the customer is an emotional being. They make decisions with their fears, doubts, hopes, and experiences. If there is no story in your marketing, it becomes dry information. And dry information gets lost in the crowd. While creating an attractive character, you must understand the audience's language. If your audience is beginners, the character should also have gone through a beginner's journey. If your audience is working mothers, the character should appear to understand their exhaustion, guilt, self-care, and time struggles. If your audience is entrepreneurs, failure, confusion, cash flow fears, and the desire for growth should be visible in the character. When the character speaks the audience's inner conversation, the audience says, they are talking about me. There is also an important caution here. Storytelling doesn't mean making up fake stories. In marketing, trust is built only when the story feels honest. You can share real experiences, share customer case studies, give an illustrative example of a common problem, but it should not be presented in a misleading way. If the story is exaggerated, you might get short-term clicks, but long-term brand trust will weaken. In Russell Brunson's approach, hook, story, and offer are not just ad-writing techniques. It is a complete communication system. First, you identify the dream customer. Then, Through the Dream 100, you find out where that customer is gathered. Then through hook, story and offer, you create a message that can stop that specific customer, connect with them, and motivate them to take the next step. In this way, a full chain is formed between the first part, second part, and third part. To understand this chain in simple words, the first question is, who is my customer? The second question is, where are they? The third question is, what should I say to them? If the answers to these three questions are clear, your direction in marketing becomes very strong. But if even one of these answers is missing, the business can get confused. If the customer is not clear, the message is weak. If the customer's location is not clear, the traffic is weak. If the message is not clear, the conversion is weak. Today in the creator economy and online business, this has become even more important. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google, podcasts, newsletters, there is a flood of content everywhere. The audience has limited time. Therefore, they stop only at messages that instantly connect to their lives. If your hook touches their fear or curiosity, your story gives them emotional context, and your offer gives them a practical solution, then your content is not just watched, it is remembered. Now the question is, how do you apply this to your content? First, choose a real problem of your dream customer. Then write a strong hook related to that problem. The hook should be such that the audience feels, I need to know this. Then, in the story, show someone's journey. The problem at the beginning, the struggle in the middle, then the discovery, and then movement toward the solution. Finally, give the offer, which should feel like a natural next step to the customer. This offer should not feel forced. It should feel like it's emerging from the story. If you are making a video, the hook must be very clear in the first 30 seconds. The audience should immediately understand why this video is important for them. Then, in the next part, the story should begin so the viewer connects emotionally. Then, you should maintain curiosity in between so the viewer stays until the end. And finally, there should be a smooth transition toward the next part, a link, a product, a guide, or an action. This is why good marketers don't just write ads, they understand people's inner stories. They know that a customer says one thing outwardly but feels something else inwardly. Outwardly they say I want fitness, but inwardly they think I want my confidence back. Outwardly they say I want to grow my business, but inwardly they fear what if I don't get sales. Outwardly they say I want to learn investment, but inwardly they want I want to secure my family's future. Hook, story and offer turn this inner conversation into marketing language. The biggest lesson of part 3 is that to turn traffic into customers, you don't just need visibility, you need connection. The Dream 100 can get you in front of the right audience, but hook, story and offer are what stop that audience, explain things to them, and lead them toward action. And the attractive character makes that entire message human. When the audience sees themselves in your character, your message doesn't feel like selling, it feels like helping. But the story is not yet complete. You've identified the customer, understood their hiding places, and learned the formula for creating the message. Now the next question is even bigger. When you have the hook, story and offer ready, how should you spread it across which platforms? Will the same content work on every platform? Do you need different strategies for YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, email and Google? And most importantly, after the traffic arrives, how do you turn it into a long-term relationship? This mystery will unfold in the next part, where the message will stop being just content and start becoming a complete traffic system.
If this video has taught you something new, or if you feel this information should reach more people, don't forget to like and share the video. Your small share can become valuable and useful information for someone else. If you have any questions related to this topic, or if you would like to share your opinion with us, be sure to write in the comment box. We read every question and suggestion from you, because your feedback inspires us to create better content. And if you want to keep receiving such interesting and reliable information about business, the economy, and the world in the future, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel GRT Business and also press the bell icon so that you get notifications of every new video directly. At GRT Business, we always strive to provide you with accurate, balanced, and reliable information. Our news and analysis are prepared based on information obtained from various news agencies, public sources, and public opinion. We make every effort to verify and validate each fact as much as possible. But in case of any possible error or dispute, the responsibility lies with the respective sources. Our only aim is to present you with a correct and trustworthy perspective so that you can understand any topic better.